everyone, and welcome to Lovely from the Future. Wait, Lovely from the Past, because this is a pre recorded video. Hello, welcome to September's live stream, or not so live stream, pre recorded video. And this month, we are going to be discussing Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Crystal Maldonado. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, by the way, as well. So, before we jump off into the presentation, let me just pull up my slides real quick, and then we'll get into the whole thing. So as I said earlier, let me see if I can move my head out the way. Y'all know I always have a little bit of trouble with this. There we go. Okay, so today's book is Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Crystal Maldonado. So before we do jump into that, though, I have a quick few announcements. On September the 23rd, first of all, I already said it, but I'll say it again. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm super excited that we're doing so much this year across the district to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. So please make sure to check out the different activities that we have throughout the district. You can do that by checking out the library's website at pueblolibrary.org. You can go to the events and you can see what the libraries closest to you are doing. Here's what we're going to be doing at LAM, or some of the events. On the 23rd of September at 5 p.m., we will be having a matinee showing of The Color Purple, and that is to help celebrate Banned Book Week. The 30th of September, we are going to be having an adult crafting class, and it's going to be at 2 p.m. on the 30th of September. That's a Monday, and we'll be making felt conchas. You know, the little pastries. Well, they're not little, they're delicious and yummy. You do have to register for that, so please make sure to do that if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. And then last but not least, if you prefer a in-person book club with a little bit more scary theme, on the 30th of September at 7 p.m., the Horror Cafe will be meeting to discuss Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. That is a wonderful book. Some of y'all might remember we've read that one here for our book club too. I really think that book is amazing. If you did not get a chance to read the book when we did, now is your chance to discuss it with other people live and in public. So please stop by. The more the merrier. It's a wonderful group, and I know that they would love to have you. All right. Let's see what else we're going to do. Let's pop back over here. Now that my announcements are done. Also, hold on one second. I want to make sure, y'all can hear me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Crystal Maldonado. Isn't she adorable? I'm so excited to read this book or to tell you about the book. Crystal Maldonado is a young adult author writing inclusive stories about fat brown girls. She is the author of The Fall of Wit Rivera, called Pumpkin Spice Latte Flavored Treat, or called a Pumpkin Spice Latte Flavored Treat by People Magazine. Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which was a New England Book Award winner, a Cosmopolitan Best New Book, and a Kirkus Best YA Fiction of 2021, and No Filter and Other Lies named a 17 Best New YA. Follow her everywhere on all platforms at Crystal Wrote. All right. And then just here, let me put my head in here. You know what? There we go. And then just to give a little bit of the synopsis in the book awards, like I said earlier, the Fat Chance Charlie Vega was an NPR Best Book of the Year for 2021. It was named to the Tatia's Reading List, a Pop Sugar Best New YA Novel, a Cosmopolitan Best New Book, and a Bustle Most Anticipated Debut. All right. Some of the things that we are going to be discussing, let me pop my head out, is self-love, cultural identity, familial relationships, mother-daughter relationships, friendships, romantic love, and beauty standards. All right, so now we're going to jump into the question parts. I thought it would be kind of cool if I started off just reading a passage from the book. By the way, this book is available in print form. Hold on. I got to glare. In print form. I'm pretty sure we have Spanish copies available as well. We also have e-audio books through the Libby platform, which is free with your library card. So I think we have all of our bases covered, whether you like print or audio, or if you prefer to read your books in Spanish, we got you covered. So just come check out a book if you hadn't had a chance to do so already. So I think first off, let's just read the dedication. To Bubby, Papaya, and Obi, my 3 hearts that walk outside my body, and to every fat brown girl out there, I see you. Chapter 1. I think I forgot to mention this is a YA book, by the way. It's in the YA genre. Just FYI. I imagine being kissed about 100 times a day. The tense moment just before the kiss, when they look right at me like there's no one else in the room. The way they caress my cheek, maybe put their hand on the small of my back. To be so close to someone I care about, someone I like or maybe even love. Feeling the warmth of their skin near mine would be magic. They smell good, and I can almost feel their lips on mine, even before they're there. And then they are, soft, gentle, and I forget who I am. Just for a second, I forget everything else. I forget that I don't always have the right thing to say. I forget about comparing myself to my best friend. I forget about the issues with my mom. I forget about how badly I wish I were a size 2. I forget it all, except for that kiss. And it's not so much the who. It's more about the what. The kiss. A kiss. To be kissed. It's the stuff my dreams are made of. But it hasn't happened yet. And I'm beginning to think it never will. At least not like this. Not the way my best friend Amelia and her boyfriend Sid are kissing up against my car. I should be mad at them, and normally I would be. But for right now, I'm kind of okay with the show. That's how pathetic I am. Like it should set me on fire that Amelia and Sid are kissing as if I don't exist. And yeah, that part is kind of annoying, but also it just sends me spiraling off into my own thoughts about kissing boys, and I'm feeling wistful and alone and find myself missing something I never even had. I honk the horn. Amelia finally pulls away from Sid, shooting me an apologetic glance, but smiling and giggling. She and Sid whisper to each other, then kiss once more. And Amelia finally starts to get into the car. Sorry, she says as she slides into the passenger seat. I'm a total jerk, I know. You're not a total jerk, I say, pulling onto the road and heading toward my house. But you think you could say goodbye before I pick you up? It's kind of weird to have to watch. I leave out the part where their kissing basically makes me have an existential crisis. Next time, I promise. Sid always leans right up against my car like it's his, I say. I know my car is a piece of, I won't say that, but a piece of poo, but it's my piece of poo. I admit that I get easily annoyed at Sid. He's a senior at another school, and I think he's a little too vain, too aloof. Amelia is kind and giving and warm, and Sid is just sort of there. He's nice enough to me, which is good, but he's just underwhelming. Like in a slacker who smokes pot all day kind of way that doesn't seem to align well with Amelia's popularity and pretty with the million extracurriculars vibe. He is hot, though. Super hot. All muscles and a beard a teenager probably shouldn't be able to grow. I'll give him that. Amelia says he treats her well and that it's nice to have a boyfriend at another school because she doesn't feel suffocated and it gives her a break from everything. So fine. I'll deal. I'm sorry, Charlie, for real. I'm just lucky to have a friend who'll put up with all that and still give me a ride home, she smiles, and bats her long eyelashes at me. I grin. So how was work? She asked. I spent the afternoon putting together 100 marketing packets for some trade show next week, I say. I work part-time as an office assistant at a small family-run business that sells medical products, mostly to hospitals. So totally riveting, as you can imagine. How was Sid's? If I were lighter skinned, you'd be able to tell that I'm blushing just thinking about it. I wrinkle my nose. Ugh. Leave it at that, all right? Sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel weird or anything. Lots of people have never been kissed. She shoots me a sympathetic glance, and now it's me who's blushing. Acknowledging my virginal lips out loud makes it so much worse. I've mentioned this to her before, and yet, yep. We're quiet for a second, but I relax a little when she pulls out her phone, eager for a subject change. Did you look at that video I sent you earlier? Which one? I asked truthfully. Amelia and I send each other about 100 things a day. Some of it's just us talking back and forth, but a lot of it's trashy or hilarious things we find online. Oh wait, the one of the sleepy puppy who falls off the couch? Yes, she squeals, and the sound of the little puppy snoring fills the empty space in the car. It's so cute. I've watched it 10 times already. I swear. Look, he's about to do it. At a perfectly timed red light, I lean over and watch as the doozy puppy drops right off the couch. And we both erupt into giggles. God, we should totally get a dog, I say. Right, we could share him. Or her, I interrupt. Amelia corrects herself, though I know she's probably playfully rolled her eyes at me. Amelia corrects herself, though I know she's probably playfully rolled her eyes at me from the passenger seat. Or her. Some days that cutie could be with me, other days with you. It will be the most well-loved pup ever. As we pull up to my house, a single-story white ranch with my dad's beloved Puerto Rican flag dangling from the porch, I point to Mom's Audi in the driveway. Then I sigh. Puppy would have to live with her too, though. I had been not so secretly hoping that my mom's job as a branch manager at the local credit union might keep her late so that she wouldn't be home yet. But now that I work too, that's not always the case. We could go to my house instead if you want. We're already here. I pull the keys out of the ignition. Plus, she'll be pleased to see her favorite daughter. I mean, Amelia, and she knows it, so she gives me the finger. We head inside. I'm immediately hit with the sweet scents of apple and cinnamon, and without stepping into the kitchen, I know a candle is burning on the windowsill. It's Mom's favorite to light because it goes with the theme, meaning the red accent wall and carefully placed apple knickknacks on most of the oak surfaces. Mom, I'm home. Charlotte, I'm right here. There's no need for yelling, my mom calls from the other room. She's yelling too, though. Amelia is here, I say, tossing my keys onto the side table next to the door. The tone of my mom's voice changes immediately. Oh, Amelia, she says, and then she's suddenly in the living room to greet us. Her hair is pulled back into a sleek ponytail, and she's wearing yoga pants and a fitted athletic top and sneakers, signaling she's likely on the way to the gym. She kisses my cheek, then Amelia's. To Amelia, she says, so good to see you. Don't you look beautiful? Special day at school? I glance at Amelia, but I don't really need to know that. Yes, she does. She always looks beautiful. She has flawless dark skin that never blemishes and curly black hair that never seems out of place. She's tall and thin, and everything looks good on her, and it's completely unfair, but also, like, if anyone deserves to be that flawless, it's Amelia. No, nothing special today, Amelia says, glancing down at her retro chic outfit, a fitted black turtleneck and tights under a curve-hugging spaghetti strap dress with a shrug. See, Charlie, you always say people don't dress up for school, but they do. Look at how put together Amelia looks. My mom's eyes flit over my outfit, jeans, ballet flats, and what I thought was a pretty cute sweater, as if to say, compared to this. Gee, thanks, Mom. Mom waves her hand at me. You know what I mean. Anyway, Amelia, you look great. Oh, Thanks, Jean. You know you can call me Mom. She's offered this to Amelia about 100 times now. I suppressed an eye roll. Mom, I think we're going to go hang out in my room and do some homework, okay? Okay, let me know if you need anything. We will, I call over my shoulder as we walk to my room behind us. I close and lock the door as Amelia starts giggling and flops on my bed, tossing her bag on the floor. I laugh a little too. She really wants you to call her Mom, I say. It just feels so weird to me. I never call her Mom, not since we met in the 2nd grade. Why does she keep saying that to me lately? She just really likes you, I shrug, trying to keep my voice cool. And you know how she is. Once she's made up her mind about something she wants, that's it. So if she hasn't stopped offering that to you yet, she never will. Okay, I think that's enough reading of that. That's still just the first part of the first chapter. I just wanted to read that to kind of give you guys a glimpse at what Charlie's life is like. So Charlie is in high school. She is not a senior. She's a junior. She's a junior at college, in high school. She lives with her mother. Charlie's father has passed away. The book doesn't say how long ago that he has passed away at this point in our story. If it does, I don't remember. But Charlie's best friend is a Black girl named Amelia, who to Charlie's mind seems to be perfect and have it all. Charlie is a young woman who is looking for love, and acceptance, and what else? Charlie is also biracial. It makes that point later on in the book, but Charlie's father was Puerto Rican and her mother is white. So let's talk a little bit about some of the themes that I mentioned before. Hold on, there we go. Let me go back and we'll talk about some themes real quick. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this book. It's a really cute story, and it does deal with a lot of cultural identity and self-love and familiar relationships. So let's chat a little bit about some of that. So where they live is in, where is it set? Connecticut. I want to say it's Connecticut or Maine. To be quite honest, I can't remember the exact city that this book is taking place in. I do remember that it is a very predominantly white town. And so Charlie exists in a larger body. She has a mother who used to be fat and no longer is. And her mother tends to be a little bit obsessed with dating, with dieting, and Charlie being thin. And their relationship, it was strained enough as it was before Charlie's father died, and it just got even more strained after he died because they didn't really have a buffer. Charlie's mom tends to be weight loss obsessed and very strict and sometimes toxic towards Charlie. I'll get into that in a little bit. So here's the deal. So Charlie's really good at school. She has a job. She's trying to stay out of trouble. But she also has to navigate the world being a fat Hispanic girl, or a fat Puerto Rican girl, to be more specific. And she does not see herself fully represented in media, in society. Not a lot of people who look like her specifically get to be the main character, for lack of a better phrase. So that's kind of what this book delves around and helps us navigate through it. On top of this, she's a teenager, so she's got her hormones to deal with, and just a lot of, getting ready to go to college. What does she want to do? How is she going to live her life? How does she navigate her friendships and romance and familial obligation? Another thing that I really liked about this book was the overall arching theme that none of us are perfect, and we all just kind of want to be accepted for ourselves as we show up, or however we show up in the world. The story does progress. And it's showing how sometimes people tend to use Charlie a little bit because she's so nice and sweet. And there's this one boy in particular, I forget his name, Colt, something like that. Maybe it's not Colton. Maybe I'm getting that out of the news headlines. What's that boy's name? Cal. His name is Cal, so it did start with a C. He is a popular guy, football player. He is on, I think it's the quarterback. He's in a couple of classes with Charlie, and he's always borrowing her notes, not doing the homework, but asking for her help. And she has a really big crush on him. And Cal really, really likes Amelia. So in the story, what ends up happening is Cal asks Charlie out to the dance. Like the school has this spring fling kind of dance every year, and the boys ask the girls, and the boys usually make some really grand gesture to ask the girls out. It's really like a big deal for the high schools there, and it's a tradition that has been happening over and over and over, or has been going on for quite some time, years and years. Anywho, Charlie does not expect to get asked to the dance. And so when Cal does, she kind of is elated. She goes off into La La Land, and she doesn't hear everything that he is actually saying. And so it's kind of like a comedy of errors because she does not hear the whole message. Come to find out, Charlie goes and she's super excited. She tells her mom she's got a date. She didn't think she was going to get a date. She even tells Amelia. And her mom's like, "Who? Oh my gosh, who are you going on a date with?" And she's like, "Cal." And her mom doesn't believe her. This mom who is weight loss obsessed, who's always leaving shakes so that Charlie can lose weight and drink this meal, and commenting on Charlie's weight and comparing her to her skinnier friend and whatnot. Charlie goes shopping, right? And everyone wants to help her get ready for this dance and this date. Amelia wants to help, but Charlie doesn't have the heart to tell Amelia, "I can't go shopping at the stores that you go to. They all have straight sizes, and I'm fat, and none of those clothes fit me. So I have to go to specialty stores. Think Lane Bryant or any other stores where bigger people shop." And a lot of times the people around Charlie do not realize how hard it is for her to exist in a body like hers when nothing is made for her. Nothing is catered to her. She has to go to special places to get her clothes. She has to seek out media that features Latinas. And that's another thing too. So we can talk a little bit about identity. Charlie Vega is one of the millions of Latinx people, Latine people, Hispanic folks that don't speak Spanish. My friend was telling me about the term "yo no sabo." I think I got that right, friend. I hope I did, friend. And since I didn't ask if I could tell this story, I'm not finna name you or anything like that. You just let me know next time if I want to talk about you. I should ask you ahead of time, and I didn't do that. So that's why I'm being vague, friend, but you know who you are. Oh, look, my hair is getting in the way of the green screen. It's a virtual green screen. There we go. That's my friend. Okay, friend. So my friend was telling me about this term, "yo no sabo," which is for Hispanic people who don't speak Spanish. For those of us outside of that community, first of all, I think we need to be very careful with our opinions if we are not a part of a community or a group. But I have heard people tease Hispanic folks who don't speak Spanish and kind of make fun of them. Well, not kind of, straight up make fun of them. Non-Hispanic people telling them that they are not Mexican enough or Puerto Rican enough or anything like that. And I'm like, first of all, y'all need to mind your business. And second of all, quit blaming people who are children who were never taught a language for the various reasons. Either parents did not teach the children because they wanted them to assimilate and go along to get ahead, or the parents maybe didn't even know the language either. But I think sometimes we tie language to culture so strongly that if a person doesn't speak the language of the culture that they belong to, people will try to say like, well, they are not enough. And I'm going to throw a little history in there. Y'all know I'm from Texas. Y'all know I mention that as much as I possibly can, besides talking about my grandmas. But Selena, she didn't speak no Spanish. Selena's was a Yo No Sabo too. She didn't speak Spanish. What's that little girl that played Wednesday? What's her name? I forget that little girl's name. She don't speak Spanish either. I had a friend in my Buddhist organization. He told me not only did he not speak Spanish, but he was also in the army. He goes, a lot of Mexican people, Hispanic people don't speak Spanish, and for whatever reason, um, sometimes it's related to the diaspora, which means a scattering of people across lands. They don't speak Spanish. It doesn't mean that they are any less of in the culture. And that's just my opinion, again, as someone who is not a part of the culture. They still know and are a part of the culture in ways that those of us who are not can never understand. Even if they don't speak Spanish, they know the traditions, they know the foods, they know the dances, they know the slang. And even if they don't speak it, they probably can understand a lot of Spanish too. I guess what I'm trying to say is that language is just one aspect of culture. And please be mindful of who you are talking to and about if they don't happen to speak that language of the culture that they belong to, because there's so many reasons why that might be. And it's really none of your business, so please don't be mean to people. Anywho, that's an incident that happens in this book as well. Charlie's mother throws a party for Charlie, and it ends up turning into Charlie's mother's party and not actually Charlie's birthday party. She's dating this new guy named Fernando who speaks Spanish, and he starts talking to Charlie in Spanish because somehow her mommy forgot to mention that her baby don't speak Spanish, so Charlie has to, and it puts her in an uncomfortable position. Anywho, I spent a lot of time talking about that because I do feel strongly about it. But anyway, we need to move on. All right. So let's see. Let's talk about another thing. Oh, so Charlie is comparing herself so much to her friend Amelia. Amelia is a African-American girl whose family are really close-knit. She has a little sister, Tess, who Charlie really loves, and Tess admires Charlie. Her parents are former athletes and supportive of Amelia and her extracurricular activities. She's on the track team. She does art. She is, I think, on the yearbook committee. She's very athletic and gets good grades. And she's cute and thin. And I think Charlie is constantly comparing herself to Amelia because she admires Amelia quite a bit. But she, and they get to it later in the book, she sees Amelia as kind of maybe perfect and admirable and doesn't think that Amelia has to struggle, and doesn't see how hard it is for Amelia in a way that it's not hard for Charlie. Like, Amelia is not fat, but she is a queer Black girl living in a predominantly white area. And so there's a lot of things that Amelia is not free to do. Charlie has the freedom from navigating the world as a queer Black person, and Amelia has the freedom from navigating the world as a fat Latina girl. So they have oppressions that overlap and struggles. They can relate to each other's struggles, but their struggles are different. And so I think that Charlie compares herself so much to her friend, even though she loves her and she's not necessarily jealous of her, but sometimes that's just how dynamics work out. Anywho, Charlie does end up meeting a guy at work named Brian, who actually goes to her same school, and they end up liking each other and starting to date. Brian is also biracial. He is Korean and white, and he has two moms. And so they kind of bond over each of them having a white parent and a non-white parent, and how being different can be a struggle, but also there's beauty in that as well. Charlie preps people, or excuse me, Brian preps people when they meet his white mom, because he looks Korean all the way. I say all the way. Let me stop myself. Because he looks Korean. His phenotype is Korean. His genotype is another story. My phenotype is Black woman. My genotype It's got all kind of other people up in here. We got Welsh, we got Japanese, we got Hispanic, or I say Hispanic, we have Mexican. But that's just the genotype. That's not my phenotype, and some of that's not even my culture. I'm just telling you who's in my family tree, to be quite honest. Anywho, so they start navigating their newfound relationship. They kind of hang out at work and joke and haha. They also have art class together, and they end up starting to date. And Charlie gets her first kiss from Brian. And I also think that's another thing, is that these kids are in high school, and so some of the mistakes that they make as far as spending a whole bunch of time with your new boyfriend, and maybe forgetting that you have other friends that need your attention too, comes into play. The other thing too is Brian forgot, but he had asked Amelia out first a year ago. Amelia forgot too, but then as Brian and Charlie were getting closer and closer, Charlie was spending less time with Amelia. Amelia and her have been best friends since the second grade. They're now both juniors in high school. So they would go to school together, walk to their lockers together, eat lunch together, hang out after school, text each other. You heard in that passage I read, doing lots of texting and things like that. And so when Charlie starts dating Brian, of course she's spending all this time with him. It's her first boyfriend. Meanwhile, her first anybody. Meanwhile, Amelia's navigating wanting to have sex with her boyfriend, Sid. She decides that they're going to do it, and they talk about that and consent and all that. That's one of the things I really like in this book, is about consent and people knowing that their bodies belong to them and no one else but them. And Amelia changes her mind. Sid gets mad. They break up. And then a few weeks later, Charlie starts dating Brian. And this causes a little bit of tension in the friend group because, like I said, Charlie starts spending less time with Amelia. In fact, for Charlie's party, Amelia invited a lot of friends that were her friends with Charlie's permission, but Charlie pointed out they're mainly your friends. And Amelia's like, well, they like you too. And so I think what ended up happening is that Amelia was used to having Charlie as a sidekick. It was never like put that bluntly in the book or anything like that. And Amelia was always loved Charlie and talked about how she wished she had Charlie's curves and things like that. I mean, come on, look, you know what? Let me remind y'all what this little girl looks like. Look at her. That's Charlie. She's adorable. What do you mean? Ugly where? And so, anywho, I just think that Amelia got used to having Charlie as a sidekick. Charlie never had a boyfriend. Meanwhile, when Amelia and Sid break up, a few weeks later, Amelia's dating a girl named Kira. Amelia's pansexual. That's the other thing I like in this book, is that there is a lot of diversity in this book. There's a lot of representation happening in this book between just the everyday people who are the side characters, and representation in sexuality, ethnicity, socioeconomics, all kind of things. And in fact, they talk about it in the book. I wanted to point out some passages that I really thought were fun. And let's see. One time, Brian and Brian and Charlie were getting to know each other, and they're teasing, and I think they're on a date. And she starts talking about how the media that she's watching, and how she is slowly but surely getting tired of media that doesn't even have one person of color. Let me read the passage. Let's see. Oh, because Charlie is also a writer. That's how smart she is, and people know it. Part of her duties at work as a office helper or manager is to write thank you notes and press releases and things like that. I say press releases, but to their donors and constituents and things like that. Anyway, she's talking to Brian in this passage about what she wants to do. And she goes, someday I'm going to write a book about a girl who looks like me. What I mean is a book specifically about a fat Puerto Rican girl with glasses. I never once read a story about one, and something about that has always made me feel very devastatingly alone. But I leave that part out. A brown female protagonist. Female protagonists still aren't in the majority, and a woman of color, even harder to come by. That's wild to me. It's not like people of color make up nearly half of the United States population or anything, Brian says. Amelia and I talk about that all the time. It's so frustrating, I say. I'm automatically less interested in media that doesn't include at least one person of color. They aren't even trying. And they're not. They're not even trying. This is a discussion that you will see people have online over and over and over again. And in fact, Krista Maldonado's main job is a social media coordinator. It's not social media marketer. She does social media for other companies, and my brain is blanking out on the term. So this is where this is why this conversation might feel familiar to some of y'all, because you've seen these discussions online too. And she goes on to talk about how Brian's empathetically nodding. I know. Do white people get tired of seeing all white movies? Right. And don't get me started on how incredulous some get whenever people of color are added to an already established And don't get me started on how incredulous some get whenever people of color are added to already established franchises. Like, okay, I guess living in outer space and cohabitating with a giant fuzzy dude named Chewbacca is realistic, but a Black lead character is somehow out of the realm of possibility. And she specifically is talking about the Star Wars bros and how they can act. I say bros because it's mainly, Star Wars fans. We'll just say that. Star Wars fans can be quite rabid. And they'll attack things and anything. I thought it was funny that she was pointing out Star Wars too, because they will start review bombing things that haven't even been put out. None of us have personally seen, and they already know they're not going to like it. And it's mainly because they have a lead character of color or a queer lead or anything like that. So when she points that out, those are actual conversations that people have. So I thought that was really a good thing to point out. I really liked how Krista Maldonado was trying to be a solution to some of her complaints, some of her valid concerns and issues, because it really is important that people see themselves represented in the media that they consume. Do I need to be the star of everything? No. But should there be Black folks in some of the media that I consume? Absolutely. Not just Black people, but Asian people and Native American folks and Pacific Islanders and Hispanic people and biracial people or multiracial people. You see those people walking around you every day, and it is a little bit weird, especially in fantasy genres, that you can fall in love with a werewolf, but a Asian American or just an Asian mythical knight is weird to you? Oh, okay. Anyway, I like that they addressed that. All right, what else? I've been talking for quite a while. Let's talk about Charlie's mom and the mother-daughter relationships. My goodness, Charlie's mommy is toxic. Charlie's mom got mad at her for something. I think maybe she was on the phone too much, or she was just having an arbitrary argument. And so she yells at Charlie and grounds her, and she grounds her from work too. Like, she says, you're grounded, you can't have your phone, and you also can't go to work. That's financial abuse. Who the heck grounds you from work? What if she got fired? Charlie's mom had a lot of toxic traits going on. She told her that Brian was too fat for her to be dating, and that she thought maybe if Charlie got with somebody skinny, it would encourage her to be skinny. Charlie has cousins like in the next town over, but she's not close to them, and they make fun of her because she can't speak Spanish. And I just really think that somebody dropped the ball somewhere, some of the adults in Charlie's life, when they didn't make sure that she had a steady connection with her father's side of the family, especially after he died. In Western culture, a lot of the times men are not good at making sure that the children are connected to their side of the family. So typically, whoever the primary caregiver is in a family, that is the side of the family that the children are going to grow close to. So It's something that happens quite commonly, but I just really think that somebody should have been a bit more proactive, knowing that they're going to be raising a biracial daughter who's already going to have to navigate the world and have one foot in one culture and the other foot in another culture. And they could have at least taught that baby girl Spanish or made sure that she was closer to her cousins and her aunts than she turned out to be in the book. And they started rectifying that toward the end when she was upset with Amelia and Brian. Charlie called up her cousins, who were also invited to her birthday party that her mom got drunk at and blacked out at because her mom was making it all about her. I can't remember quite clearly if Charlie and her mother decided to go to counseling. I know that they had a heart-to-heart talk about Charlie's mom constantly comparing her to Amelia and wanting Amelia to call her mom and always inviting Amelia places. And Charlie let her inviting Amelia places and never having any alone time with Charlie. Charlie explained to her mother that it made her feel like her mother didn't want to be around her, didn't want to spend any alone time with her, just the two of them. She was really struggling with the mother-daughter relationship. And then Charlie's mom was like, I thought it would be fun for you to have a companion, especially after your father died. Oh, and back to the spring dance. Charlie went shopping. Her mom found out that she's going to the dance, so she's like, oh, let's go shopping. I think they were shopping for Charlie's birthday, her birthday celebration versus the dance. And Charlie's mom took her to a straight size store, even though Charlie's mom was formerly fat, and she knew that none of the things in there would fit Charlie. She didn't want to take her to Lane Bryant or another store like that. And I think that is a lesson for all of us who maybe have friends who are not like us in whatever way, shape, or form, is to be a bit more mindful how we invite our friends out and how we hold space for them. I had a friend with an eating disorder, and it didn't click to me until later that I was always inviting her to go out to eat. I didn't know she had an eating disorder in the beginning until she told me, but I would still invite her to go out to eat. And then I ran into somebody who was a counselor for people with eating disorders. And I'm like, I think I'm doing something wrong and I don't want to hurt my friend. And she always says yes, and she always knew where all the good food was too, even though she had an eating disorder. I imagine that might be more common than people know. Anywho, I was advised to do other things besides inviting that girl out to eat. I know that it seems like a no-brainer, and we all know I'm smart, but I wasn't smart that day. Not that day. I needed some help, and I'm glad that I asked because I was putting my friend in an uncomfortable situation that was hard enough without her having to tell me, hey, I know you didn't think about this, but I have an eating disorder, and we need to make space for me. And so I think that's a good reminder for all of us is to take stock of our friends. How are they different than us? And how can we be more accommodating of those differences? Like if you have friends who use mobility devices, make sure that the ramps or whatever are working in the place that you go to. Don't always leave it up to them because sometimes people will notice that they always have to be the one to make sure they're included in a way that is accommodating for them. And they might not never say anything, but I promise you they notice. They notice every time. You know how I know? Because I notice when people take time to accommodate me. As y'all all know, I've been wearing this mask since lockdown. And until something else changes, I'm going to have to wear a mask in public until maybe they develop better nasal vaccines or something like that, because I have an autoimmune disorder. So that means because we're still dealing with an airborne virus that could literally kill me or send me to the hospital, because it did, I can't go out to eat. I can if we go outside, if there is outdoor seating, and even that's a risk, but it's way less riskier than eating inside. If I'm going to hang out with people, I have to think about how tired I might be. Is anybody sick? And the friends that I do have who will come into my house and wear masks, or will eat outside, even though it's a little warm and maybe a tiny bit uncomfortable, they'll still do it because they want to hang out with me. And that means the world to me. So anyway, long story short or short story long, I just thought that was something that was really good that they put into this book. What else? What else? Let me come back and look at this and make sure that I am not missing anything. Beauty standards. Oh, honey, let's talk about that. So Charlie lives in a predominant white city and town, and looking at her, especially coming because I'm from the hood. What y'all know about South Oak Cliff, Texas. And I come from the Black American community where women can be of larger size, probably about the size of Charlie Vega, and be considered incredibly beautiful, very attractive. In fact, in my community, skinny women get teased. They tell them it sounds like skeleton bones when they're walking down the street. Clump, clump, clump. And you can't be a baddie in my community if you don't have a baddie body. And baddies aren't skinny, they're curvy. They got thick waist, small waist, and thick everything else. Use your imagination. But that doesn't mean that the standard that the American standard of beauty, which is European, didn't still seep in and affect not only me, but other people around me as well. Here in Pueblo, there aren't that many Black people. So I am not bombarded as much by people who straighten their hair and wear wigs. And by the way, child, do you. I'm not casting any judgment on anyone who likes to get dressed up or wear wigs or anything like that. Uh-oh, my battery's running low. It's telling me to hurry up. Let me hold on 1 second. I gotta grab something. Look, y'all, it's not even live, and I still had to jump up and get some things. Is it in there? Let's see. Oh. Oh, it's still here. Okay, good, y'all. I'm so sorry. There was just a blink out. I thought I was gonna have to record the whole thing again. Hallelujah. I don't have to. I could just hit end recording. Sorry for the technical difficulties, doing too much at one time. I forgot where I left off, but let me just pop in real quick because I have been talking enough as it is. Let me find my presentation. I'm gonna have to click back on here 1 second. Anywho, y'all, I really love this book. It was Crystal Maldonado's first book she ever wrote. I thought she did a great job. She was fantastic at it. Let me go in here and where's my big head? Here we go. So we're just going to wrap it up since I can't remember where I was talking at last, but I see it kept recording, honey. Sorry about all those minutes of dead air, but Chad, would it be a Lovely's virtual book club without some technical difficulties? I don't know. Let's talk about some read-alikes. So as I was talking about, representation does really matter. All of these books right here on the screen, let me move my big head so you can see better. All of these books here on the screen you can check them out from the library. PCCLD either has these in print or also in e-audiobook. The first one is Love is a Revolution by Renee Watson, which is about a African-American girl who is dealing with fat phobia and love and navigating her community. The second one is I'll Be One by Lila Lee, which deals with a Korean American girl dealing with the beauty standards in the K-pop industry, which is fascinating because that girl is, if you know anything about K-pop, they're all long-legged and skinny, and being fat, even to Asian standards, because fat American standards and fat Asian standards is two different things. But anywho, that looks like a very interesting book. We have that one here. We have Dumpling by Julie Murphy. Y'all might know that one because it was made into a Netflix show with one of the cast member of Friends, Aniston. I think her name, Jennifer Aniston, was in it. Anywho, the next book is called Holding Up the Universe by Julie Niven. And that one is about a couple of teens as well, navigating love, life, romantic relationships. You don't know how many words there is for love. There is agape, which is just fellowship love. There's eros, which is passionate love. Then there is platonic love. There's so many different ways to say love and whatnot. Anywho, all of those books are dealing with that, navigating identity, community, self-love, self-respect, things like that, things of that nature. Let me see. I had tagged something else in this book. I'm trying to make sure that I copy everything. Oh, yeah. I think we were talking about Charlie's mom being toxic and fat shaming Brian, too. And like I was saying, I don't remember if the book went into detail, like if Charlie's mom and her went to therapy or whatnot. But there's something definitely going on in that relationship. And her mother apologized for making her feel inadequate. They need to go to therapy because a couple of the characters in the book, Brian and then Amelia, were like, baby, your parents shouldn't be talking to you like that. She wanted to humiliate you. Like, Charlie's mom caught Charlie and Brian making out, which is a normal teenage thing to do. And she really should have had a conversation with Charlie about protection and sex and all that stuff anyway. But her mother, like I said, they're both grieving the loss of a father and a husband, and Charlie's grieving the loss of her culture as well. I say culture, a loss of a key component that kept her connected to her culture is how I should say it. And her and her mom have a lot to work out. And it looks like they're on the mend. I also like that there was a happy ending as far as the romance was concerned, but not maybe such a clear-cut relationship on how Charlie and her mother were going to work things out. I can tell that they're making those first inroads, but it's not there yet. And I like that not quite perfect ending because relationships aren't perfect. They can be rocky. And as a mother who has a daughter and who is a daughter, honey, boy, let me tell you, that mother-daughter relationship can be rocky. It's like a roller coaster, ups and down, but eventually, hopefully, y'all find your footing. Anywho, I really, really enjoyed this book. As you can tell, I've been talking for almost a straight hour. about how wonderful it was. Crystal Maldonado has written other books as well. Like we mentioned earlier, she has, let me see if I can share my screen with you since I'm back. Let me see. Let's do that. We're going to remove those. And I am going to go over here and we'll say Crystal. Well, first of all, I better spell it right. That'd be nice. Crystal Maldonado. Let's see. We could pull up her books. She has at least 2 more books out. Let's see. Oh, and she has one coming soon. So let me share this screen. Let me pop back over here and then I gotta go. All right, let's see. Presents, share screen. And then it's gonna ask me which one do I want to share. This one. Share. Okay, so Crystal Maldonado has several books. The Fall of Whit Rivera. This one is really cool because Whit Rivera is fat and Hispanic, but that's not what the book is about. It just happens to be a part of it. I think this one is about her. It's a cozy autumn rom-com that also touches on weighty issues like PCOS, grief, disability, sexuality, and class. Let's see what else. She has another one called, that one's coming out, Get Real, Chloe Torres. That's coming out in 2025. But I thought she had another one. Camp Sylvania. I think that's just she's writing that with another author is what I'm trying to say. Anywho, let me pop back over here. We don't have to share screens no more. Any longer. Let's take this one out. Stop screen. There we go. Anywho, Crystal Maldonado has a lot more books up her sleeve. I hope that you take the time to do more research. If you really like this book, if you like the discussion that we were having, I think you'll like the rest of her writing. Thank you so much for giving me your time and being patient with me and my everlasting technical difficulties. And I want to remind you that next month we will be reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. Be here at 4 p.m. October the 17th, 2024. Don't miss out. We're going to be talking about Hoodoo Heritage Month, and I'll bring up wonderful announcements and everything like that. Again, thank you guys for giving me some of your time and hanging out and reading these books with me. I appreciate it. Please remember to sign up for my newsletter. That's one thing I forgot to tell y'all. Let me see if I can find my little banner. Where is it? Well, that is gone. That's okay. Anyway, sign up for the newsletter, y'all. I'm going to have to put it back in here. I don't have time to do that right now. I will amend this when it does go live. Sign up for the newsletter. Actually, if you're watching this on Facebook and you haven't signed up for the newsletter, click to do that because that's where you find out what all the books are for the year. You get the questions ahead of time. There's some interviews and whatnot. I like to give a well-rounded book talk. And so I give you extra information in the newsletter that I hope you sign up for. Also, remember to like the page and share this with other people who really like to read books, like to see representation and diversity in books. And if you think they'd like to hang out with me for a little bit, let them know about the show. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time hanging out with you. I will see you next month when we read The Night Brothers, or Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. And that's going to be October the 17th, right here at 4 p.m. See you later. Bye.